morning, everyone. Welcome to my home sweet classroom. Let us all be quiet for a while and feel the presence of the Lord.
Lord Jesus, we offer to you our class today. Allow each of us, Jesus, inspire them to do their best. Amen.
And now, before we begin our session, I am going to discuss first with you the do's and don'ts of online learning. The do's and don'ts of online learning. First, be on time. You must be in your seat at least 10 minutes before the class begins. Check if your gadgets and internet connection.
Take down notes.
Be polite and respectful. Speak only when permitted. Turn off the microphone when the teacher is speaking or explaining. Activate your camera so remember, you dress properly and nicely. You will feel more energized and happy. Lastly, ask help when needed. If something is confusing, don't hesitate. Hello everybody, let me introduce myself by this first quote. Find joy in everything you choose to do. Every job, relationship, home, it's your responsibility to love it or change it. All about me. I am Mary Jane C. Palomares, a Bachelor of Secondary Education graduate, major in biology, and I have been teaching in public school for 6 years since 2014. However, I've spent 10 years of teaching experience in a private institution before I decided to become a public school teacher. And I am your science teacher for this school year. Let me just share with you a little info about my family, which I consider the pillar of my strength. I hailed from the province of Marinduque, born on the 7th of December, and I am the third child among the 5 siblings. My family has been always by my side in ups and downs, and they have the greatest part in my life. Wherein each family member lies our strength. My family is my power that keeps me pushing to where I am now. Now, I am a mother of 4 smart kids who are giving me more courage to face the journey of life. Certainly, it's a true blessing to have a positive family by your side, right? Let me end my introduction by my principles in life. We all have a dream, and with the realistic goals, step by step, we can beat the odds and get where we want to be. Always seek guidance from the Almighty for our purpose and hold on to what makes us real and really happy according to His will. And always be your best self. Live your best life. To let me know something about you. So may I request you to please write your name in a comment box or in a chat box. Write your name and then opposite, write one positive traits of yours. Suppose, for example, I'm Jane, approachable, something like that. Okay, can you do it? Show me your thumbs up, guys. So I would know that you can, and you can clearly hear me and you, yes. Okay, thank you for the thumbs up, Sheila May. Okay, go ahead. You only have 10 seconds to do. I can see your answers. Hold on. Okay, let me see. Okay, Sheila May, friendly. Okay, just real, funny, and friendly. Okay, very good. So anyway, I'll be reading I'll be reading your answers later. I can check on that after this session. Let us proceed. Okay. Let us have first a quick review about what science is and its branches. Are you ready? May I request you to please get your note? Okay, time is up. What is the correct answer? All right, its origin, history, and structure of the Earth. Very good. Let's proceed to the next question. Science almost always begins with curiosity, but usually ends with less questions, more questions, negative results, problems, ask even more questions, find ways to solve problems. Go. Okay, time is up. What is the correct answer? The correct answer is very good. Find ways to answer them. Very good, Sheila May and Jezreel. Okay, let's proceed to the next question. The three branches of natural science include physical science. Okay, what are the other two? We have chemistry and physics, biology and physics, chemistry and astronomy, and the last one is life and earth science or space science. Okay, time is up. What's the correct answer? What are the other three of those three branches of natural science? We have, if that's correct. Okay, very good. You got it right. Okay, so it's good to know that most of you could still recall what science is and its branches. So we can now proceed to our lesson. Explore ways on how we can find answers to the questions we may ponder and even on things we observe every day in our day-to-day life. Are you all ready? Please do the thumbs up react so I would know if you're ready, guys. Okay, thank you, Jezreel, for the thumbs up. Okay, how about the others? And Sheila may also. Okay, so now class. Today you are going to listen to a song and you are going to fill in the worksheet afterwards about the song. So you have to just simply write the
Scientific method.
you hear the sound.
Scientific method. 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 First, you make an observation of the world around. Take notes and record all the things that you found. Then you ask a simple question, something that you want. Hypothesis and make a prediction, do a test or experimentation, analyze data and draw a conclusion. Scientific method. Scientific method. Scientific method. Scientific method. Scientific method. Scientific method.
Okay, guys. Time is up. So show me your outputs. Show me your notebook just for me to know if you have finished answering the worksheet. Okay. Ayan, very good. Thank you. You have completed the worksheet. Okay, so now guys, please set aside your notebook first and we'll go back to that after we have discussed it, guys. We're going to identify the components of scientific investigation. Second, you will be able to differentiate between qualitative and quantitative observation. And lastly, we're going to identify the independent, dependent, and the controlled variables. Take a look at this picture, guys. What can you say about the picture? You can unmute your microphone if you would like to answer. What do you see?
Not.
Okay, you see an astronaut. Do you know these people? Do you know them just recently? Anybody?
Lincoln.
Benken and okay, very good. They are Benken and Hurley, who splashed down to Earth after 2 months of exploring in the Universal Satellite Station. Okay, how about the other one? What is the picture all about?
A virus, ma'am.
The virus. Okay, the coronavirus. Human beings are inherently curious. We crave for the answers to the hows and whys of things. Our curiosity leads us to the scientific knowledge. So meaning to say, class, what is the nature shows observation, discoveries, and invention. So the scientific method helps a lot in doing those experiments and observation because the scientific method is a logical and orderly procedure of investigation leading to the discovery of facts and relationship that exist between facts. So these are the steps in the scientific method. You have to listen carefully. First, you do research and plan an investigation, and in doing it so, you identify the variables. After identifying the variables, you perform the experiment and collect and organize data. And then you interpret the data and analyze it. And then lastly, you draw and defend the conclusion. Let us take them up one by one. First, the first step is observation. Take a look at this picture. She says, we have the qualitative observations and quantitative observations. Now, let us differentiate one from the other. When we say qualitative observations, guys, you describe what you observe. From the word quality, it's descriptive. These observations use adjectives to describe something. Suppose, for example, the flower has white petals. The petals of the flower is white. You perceive the color through the sense of sight, right? Another example, Mr. H has brown eyes. The eyes is being described as brown. You perceive it through the sense of sight also. How about quantitative observations? When we say, guys, quantitative observation, you measure what we observe. From the word quantity, it's numerical. These observations use numbers to measure something in quantitative way. How is that? Suppose, for example, the flower has 7 petals. How many petals? 7. So your specific thumb up if you do understand. Thumbs up, react, please. So I would know, so we can continue. Oh, very good. Okay, so we can continue. But if probably you might be asking, Mom, which is better? I wouldn't say both types of observations are valuable in science actually. In an experiment, though, quantitative observations can be precisely and objectively compared. Suppose, for example, in a qualitative observation, the road is long. So you describe the road as long. In a quantitative view, the road is 5 kilometers long. You already have the measurement. You have measured how long is the road. Did you see the difference? Okay, but then you have to take note also, guys, that some things are easier to quantify than others. Scientists use innovative ways of turning qualitative to quantitative. And how are you going to do that? For example, someone might say that a dead fish is smelly, but of course, anyone would say, how bad is the smell of the fish? It's just hard to know just how smelly the fish is, though. To make this quantitative, the scientist could ask the person to rate the smelliness. So you might probably be asking, could you please rate the smell of the fish in a scale of 1 to 5? So you have already the scale. So this would then allow you to compare how smelly the fish is. Suppose, for example, 5, which is the very, very smelly. Okay. So there is still another term that I would like you to consider, because sometimes this is misinterpreted as an observation. The word is inference. Take note, class. An inference is an explanation for an observation you have made already. They are based on your past experiences and prior knowledge, meaning to say you already know something about it. Again, observations are information we gather directly through our 5 senses, while inferences help explain those observations. Okay, take a look at this example. Going back to my illustration earlier, this woman saw the brown can. And then this is her inference. Based on my observations, I think that this can is an old and is leaking a toxic substance. Okay, so she's already making an explanation of her observation, explain why the grass is wet. They're all based on prior inferences. We have all seen rain, sprinklers, morning dew, and dogs going to the bathroom. So that's the possible reason why the grass is wet. So that's the difference between observation and inference. I hope that's clear with you. Another example, this is common in our school and I miss this. The school fire alarm is going off. Okay, possible inferences. The school is on fire. I hope it won't. We are having a fire drill. That's usually earthquake drill. A student pulled the fire alarm. I miss that. There are a lot of students who are really pulling the fire alarm even though it's not supposed to be. Okay, again, these are all logical explanations for why the fire alarm is going off. Okay, so observation, you made use of your senses, and then your inferences, that is your explanation based on your observation. I have here an activity for you guys to kindly look at this. Okay, a student is sitting in the guidance office. That is your observation. Could you please tell me just one possible inference why? Why might the student be sitting there? That's the possible inference. Asking your question why. Give me one. Anybody who can volunteer? Because you cannot talk
Me.
at the same time. Okay, just real.
He was called by the principal.
And why? Probably because vision. Anybody from the
The
group?
road is empty.
The road is empty. Sheila, you were raising your head. I can see you.
The road is too long.
The road is too long. Very good. That is an observation. Another observation. Last one.
Weather is sunny.
It is sunny. Okay, very good. Now, let's proceed to an inference. Okay, so we would be able to differentiate one from the other. What is your inference? Anybody? The road, just like earlier, you said the road is empty because you don't see any car or vehicle. Why? Could you please tell me an explanation why there are no vehicles? Sheila.
Because it is locked down.
Okay, very good. That is your inference there. The road is empty because it is locked down. Okay, very good. So at least now I know that you can already distinguish the difference between observation and inference. Now, after observing, you now formulate your hypothesis. A hypothesis is a testable idea or explanation that leads to scientific investigation. As in, scientists may think of a hypothesis after making observations or after reading findings from other scientists' investigations. Hypotheses must be carefully constructed so that they can be tested in a practical and meaningful way. Many hypotheses use the if and then statements. Okay, so try to look at this. A science observations. After formulating your hypothesis, you can now make your experiment, or you can now do the experimentation. An experiment is an organized procedure to study something under controlled conditions. And take note, in your experiment, you have to consider the three variables. A variable is any factor that can change in a scientific investigation. First variable is the independent variable. It is the factor that is deliberately manipulated, while a dependent variable changes as a result of manipulation of one or more independent variables, and it is also known as the responding variable. While the other one is what we call the controlled variable. When we say controlled, it stays the same throughout the experiment and it is not manipulated at all. Okay, take a look at this. Independent variable influences change in the independent variable. You have to take note of that. An independent variable can be manipulated while the dependent variable can be measured. Independent, I will repeat the problem. If I change the amount of water a plant receives, the height of the plant will change. Okay, what is the dependent variable? Anybody?
The height of a plant will change.
Okay, very good. Because it is affected by the water. So I just hope you see the difference. And while in the control variable, always remember that it makes a special effort to keep other factors constant. When we say constant, they remain the same. Okay, so after performing your experiment, you now collect the data and then interpret it. So what is a data? A data is information gathered by an observation or experimentation that can be used in calculating or reasoning. This information may be anything that a scientist perceives, really record all the information, all the observation that you have observed during the experiment. And then scientists analyze this data to determine the relationship between the independent and dependent variables in an investigation. Then they draw a conclusion about whether the data support the investigation's hypothesis. Okay, so those are the steps in the scientific method. The question is this, guys. If an investigation does not support a hypothesis, is it still useful? Let's say you found out that your hypothesis is false, or previous activity that I let you do, the worksheet. Okay, show me your notebook. So I would know if you really answered it. Okay. So now, in the first column, you are to write the steps, right? In the second column, you have to write what do you do at this step and why do you do it. Okay, let us now go back to this worksheet and find out if your answers earlier were correct or wrong. Okay, the first step in scientific method is, of course, you make observations and questions. Did you get it right? Okay, and in this process, it is the process of using our senses to describe things. The second step, anybody, you can tell me what's the second step?
Hypothesis.
Okay, you formulate the hypothesis. That is the possible and reasonable explanation for the question or problem. The third step.
Interpret data.
Okay, very good. You interpret the data, or you determine how the data will be measured or interpreted. And then finally, you can now have your
Conclusion.
conclusion. Very good. And that is entirely based on the result gathered from the experiments. Let me see who got 6 points there. Do the thumbs up react so I would know. Okay, very good. Next. Probably you might be asking, what if the conclusion doesn't support the hypothesis? Okay, guys, just the same, you have to follow again the scientific method, only that you have to form a new hypothesis already because your first hypothesis is wrong, so you have to make a new hypothesis and make, of course, a new prediction. And out of that, again, you do the research and planning on investigation and then identify. You perform the experiment again and then collect and organize data. And then you interpret and analyze the data and information. And of course, you can now draw your conclusion again, depending upon the result of your experimentation. So it's still the same. It's just a cycle. Let's say we cannot really avoid that our hypothesis have to skip already observation because you have observed it already from the first attempt or the first trial. So how are scientific methods used? Okay, so we all know that scientific methods are used in physical life and earth sciences, but even you or anybody can use the steps in scientific method to answer many questions in everyday life. If you observe something and have a question, you can apply the scientific method to answer it, right? Okay, even in your day-to-day situation, do not just jump into conclusion. You should try to investigate first before reacting or giving your opinion or your reaction. Okay, so you should always remember that. In that way, you can also apply the scientific method. Okay, so do you have any question, guys?
None.
Okay, so we can now proceed to your quiz. I want you to write your answers in the chat box or the comment box. I am just going to select 5 questions for you to answer. Okay, first question. What is the first step in the scientific method? Okay, 5 seconds, time's up. Let me see your answer in the chat box. Please do the thumbs up react so I would know if you have answered it already. So I would know. Okay, Sheila is done. Very good, Sheila. Okay. The correct answer is question or observation. I can accept that. Did you get it right? Okay, next. Let's choose on observation for 200 points. This type of observation is measurable. Oh, there we go. What is that? What type of observation is that? It is measurable. So the correct answer is, if you drink more milk, then you will increase the strength of your bones. If you have similar answer to that, I can consider that. Anyway, I'll be reading your answers in the chat box later. Okay, let's proceed to the next question. In the variables for 400 points. In an experiment, what are the variables that are not being studied that are held constant? Okay, constant. So that they do not influence the experimental outcome called. What do you call that? Variable which is constant or the same? Sheila May?
Ma'am,
What is that? Variable which is constant or the same? Is it dependent, independent, or controlled? Parang naririnig ko yung chicken na
Ma'am.
sumasagot siya na controlled. Okay, very good. It's controlled. Okay, and last from the surprise for 400 points. List the independent and dependent variables in the following hypothesis. If soil temperature rise, then plant growth will increase. Okay, what is the independent? And then what is the dependent variable? Sheila May is smiling. What is the dependent and what is the independent here? If soil temperatures rise, then plant growth will increase. Okay, write your answer in the chat box. I can see it here. So you have, nawala na si Sheila. Ayan, Sheila. Okay, what is the independent variable? Raise your notebook so I would know if you are still answering. Okay, the independent here class, of course, is soil temperatures, while the dependent is the plant growth. Okay, who got 5? Let me see. Who got 5 points? No one. 4. Please do the thumbs up react. So I would know if you got 4. And who's writing? Okay, just really got 4. Sheila May also, I think she got 4. Only one mistake. Okay, very good. Okay, now guys, we're going to compose your own scientific method song. Okay, I will be needing your output on Friday. Okay, I will repeat. You are going to compose your scientific method song to the tune of any song you like, plus the worksheets that I am going to send in the messenger. Okay, thank you for your cooperation and then for your participation. See you again in our next online class. Thank you, everyone. Stay safe at home. God bless. Bye.